Joining me right now is House Majority Leader, California Congressman Kevin McCarthy. Good to see you, Congressman. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Well, good morning, Maria. Thanks for having me back on.
First, let's talk about the meeting that the president is having with Republican senators. What do you believe are the main priorities? What are you expecting from this meeting today with Republican senators?
Well, I think it's very smart for the president to continue to do these meetings. One, he gets to meet with all the Republican senators together, keeping them more united because they have a very slim margin of a majority. So when one or two decide that they can't vote with the team, it really harms and puts the power with the Democrats. We have a number of appointments and confirmations for the CIA and others. So the more that they're united would be very smart to do. We have a number of bills from the House sitting over in the Senate. The ability to start moving more of those bills will help us, especially make the country grow a little stronger and help us into the November election.
So let's talk about the priorities on your plate right now. What would you put a higher priority? Border security or more economic policies? Where do you think the priorities should be heading into the midterm elections?
Well, what I see happening right now is just what we're doing this week. We've got VA reform, the VA mission bill that funds the Choice Act and others, making sure that moves forward. We've got our appropriation process, and inside that appropriation process actually secures the border, making sure that continues to move forward. We've got tax reform coming up again, making it permanent, expanding retirement accounts and others. So there's a lot to do still. And then another thing that people have not been talking about, that we've been moving more than 60 of those bills and Democrats have been fighting us, is combating the opioid crisis that affects every part of this nation. Those are bills that are moving through energy and commerce right now. And what's an interesting part is the Democrats fight anything you're doing. Just because they want nothing to happen in November. And it's interesting that they continue to combat that. They're fighting the Farm Bill. And in the Farm Bill, you watch the economic gains that we've had with the low unemployment that we haven't seen in almost 2 decades. We're trying to get more people from welfare to work. So we've got some work requirements in there that I think are fantastic, that help people enter that job market again when it's so badly needed in one of the best economies we've seen in decades.
These are really important points that you're making in terms of this pushback that you constantly get on all of these bills and on all of the priorities from the left. Not only that, but, you know, when I was speaking with Darrell Issa this weekend, he basically said, look, what the FBI and the DOJ are doing right now, they're slow walking everything in hopes of this just goes away. The abuse of power that we saw during the 2016 election, is that the goal here, just to let the clock run out, Congressman, until November, and they hope that maybe they'll gain more seats and a lot of these issues that they don't want to talk about, they don't want to execute, will just go away?
That's exactly what they're doing. If you watch on the Senate side with Schumer, just the act of confirming people, if they continue down this route, it will take more than 9 years to confirm everybody. If you take the last 6 presidencies, the number of votes you had in the first 2 years for cloture when it came to appointment was 24. They're over 88 now. If you watch Nancy Pelosi, she has been fighting everything that we do because she wants nothing to happen. Remember what she did when we were doing the tax bill. She held every single Democrat to vote no. And she said it was Armageddon, that they would be crumbs. But now we're even finding in 48 of the 50 states, your electrical bill's lower. Unemployment's at the lowest rate. Millions of people got bonuses. I mean, unemployment claims are at a 44-year low. That's more than 4 decades have we seen something like this.
Yeah.
And look what we're hearing today from North Korea dismantling their nuclear test site. That's what the early satellite pictures are showing. This is a new day that we're more secure. We're economically strong. We've been combating human trafficking. That's current day slavery that we've been able to pass more than 20 bills. Stop Backpage on the internet. I mean, There's a lot of great things happening. But at each step that we take, the Democrats' only approach is stop it because a Republican offered it.
Do you think that's what's changed the tone for Republicans going into the midterms? Here we are on primary day. We got 4 primaries today. And it seems this whole idea of a blue wave taking over is now in the back seat. People are not saying that as much. Is that what's happening, that people are realizing that there's a lot of obstruction going on, as well as the fact that your policies have actually helped people?
I think as time progresses, people see that. Think about the Mueller investigation. Everyone's looked at this. There's no collusion involved. He's been in it more than a year, more than millions of dollars spent. It's time to end that. And then secondly, when you go and see all that they argued against, they had an advantage about a year ago when you looked at the generic balloting. Where did that go? CNN's own poll said 57% of America was happy about where the direction of things were happening. You haven't seen those numbers before. That's what's so different. If Nancy wants to sit back, obstruct everything with the hopes of winning the majority where she says she would become speaker and then just impeach the president, I don't think America wants to see that. They want something secure. They want the world secure. And they want economic growth. Those are the things that we've been working on.
Let me ask you about border security. I think they want that too. Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen testifying today before a Senate panel on securing resources needed to protect the borders, needed to protect the United States. She's expected to request additional funding for the president's long-promised border wall. This comes after the president, of course, called out senators in a tweet over the weekend. He says this: the Senate should get funding done before the August break or not go home. Wall and border security should be included. So, Leader McCarthy, will the next spending bill include border wall funding?
You know, on our last one, we included border wall funding, more than $1 billion, exactly what the White House had requested. So they are beginning to build part of that wall. We've got to do other things. We've got to finish that job for sure. But this catch and release program, that an individual can come, if they're coming from outside of Mexico, get caught entering the border, and they stay inside our country. That's not the rule of law. And so I've worked with the Secretary. I was speaking with her last night, talking to the President last night, and I'll be meeting with the President today when it comes to border security as well. We're going to have a meeting down at the White House, a few of us, and this is of great importance because you want to make sure your border is secure. We want to solve the DACA problem at the same time, and this President has been out front on this. It has been, again, the Democrats who have denied the President. Watch what he said in his State of the Union speech. Watch what he has offered time and again. What would be wrong with having border security in the catch and release and deal with DACA? Right. It just seems to me that the Democrats want to continue to keep problems into the future and make that an argument for the November election. But I think the public is beginning to wise up to this and see what Nancy's whole goal here is: to impeach the president, try to win the majority over that, and we're making the world safer in the process. It would also nice to have America's borders safe.
By the way, she has already said that in terms of the economic policies, she'll roll back the tax plan should she become speaker. She wants to raise taxes despite the fact that we've seen an impact from the cut in taxes. Let me end with this because it is primary day in 4 states. How important is this primary in Pennsylvania, Congressman? All eyes on the GOP Senate race in Pennsylvania, where Congressman Lou Barletta is facing off against State Representative Jim Christiana.
I think Lou Barletta is going to do a fantastic job. You know, he's part of the majority makers that came here in 2010. He's exactly what Pennsylvania needs. But Pennsylvania is a great example of Democrats putting politics over people. They took a Supreme Court, redrew all the congressional lines this time, simply politically to add more Democrats to the equation, just trying to take over the House. And so it's a real concern to see what happens in these primaries and a real battle of what we're going to have coming into November. If they want to use those type of political games instead of the economic and security games we're doing, I think it'd be a much better place for America to go forward on.
Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Maria.
We will be watching Leader Kevin McCarthy.